Prime Minister Modi is in France and he says it's the right time to invest in India, saying that India is rapidly becoming a preferred destination for investment. That is what Prime Minister Modi has said today. He is going to be in, he is in Marseille. He is going to be paying a tribute to the lives lost during World War I, the Indian soldiers who put down their lives during that World War. And of course, he will also be inaugurating the new consulate in Marseille. And Prime Minister Modi is then heading off to Washington, D.C. He will be meeting with Donald Trump from Bonjour Modi to Howdy Modi. Well, Prime Minister Modi will be in the United States for 2 days and NDTV has it all covered. NDTV's Viksit Bharat gets us all the ground reports. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Gaza's ceasefire will end if Hamas does not return Israeli hostages as planned by noon of Saturday. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will travel to Ukraine this week, Donald Trump wrote in a social media post on Tuesday. Elon Musk defends actions to overall federal government in a surprise appearance at the White House. Jasprit Bumrah ruled out of India's Champions Trophy. A big blow to India's Champions Trophy. Preparations for Harshit Rana named as Bumrah's replacement. A very good morning. You're watching NDTV World. Let's get you the very latest of Prime Minister Modi's visit in France. Do remember that he's in France, in Marseille now. But yesterday, he was at that AI summit, the Artificial Intelligence Summit, where Prime Minister Modi was co-chairing with Emmanuel Macron. He said that this is the right time for businesses to come to India as the country works towards the goal of becoming Viksit Bharat by 2047 while providing a robust, business-friendly environment and policy continuity. Addressing the 14th India-France CEO Forum, Prime Minister Modi said that this meeting is a confluence of the best business minds from India and France. And also at the event was CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, who highlighted the incredible opportunities that artificial intelligence will bring to India. Following his meeting with Prime Minister Modi on the sidelines of the AI summit in Paris, while the United Kingdom and the United States have not signed an international agreement on artificial intelligence at that global summit. Now, the statement signed by dozens of countries includes France, China and India pledging an open, inclusive and ethical approach to the technology's development. And in a brief statement, the United Kingdom's government said that it had not been able to add its name to it because of the concerns about national security and global governance. Earlier, it was U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, who's also there in France, who was there at that summit, says that if there's too much regulation when it comes to artificial intelligence, that could really kill a transformative industry just as it's really almost just taking off.
India is building its own large language model considering our diversity. We also have a unique public-private partnership model for pooling resources like compute power. It is made available to our startups and researchers at an affordable cost. And India is ready to share its experience and expertise to ensure that AI future is for good and for all.
Greetings from Paris. I'm Parity Vinod and I'm here to give you a roundup of everything that has happened over the course of Tuesday and what to expect on Wednesday as when it comes to Prime Minister Modi's visit to Paris but also the AI summit. So as you may know, Tuesday was a really hectic day, especially for heads of states as well as global CEOs. They were all assembled in Paris for one single aim, which is to make artificial intelligence global. Now, the declaration that has subsequently come out has not been signed by all countries, and it's yet to be seen how that will pan out. But as far as India is concerned, and as far as Prime Minister Modi's visit to France is concerned, there are some very interesting things that are on the agenda for Wednesday. As of Tuesday evening, Prime Minister Modi, as well as President Macron, have addressed the CEOs Forum, the India-France CEOs Forum. This was the 14th edition that was addressed, and during that address, Prime Minister Modi specifically said that this is the right time to invest in India. We have a large talent pool, and that is something I believe that Prime Minister Modi has reiterated time and again. So that is the key takeaway from the CEOs Forum. Now, after that, Prime Minister Modi as well as President Macron departed for Marseille, where a dinner is being hosted by President Macron for Prime Minister Modi. And on Wednesday, there's going to be some very interesting developments with regards to a new consulate that has been opened in the southern city of France, which is Marseille. Now, this consulate has been a long time coming, and so that promises to be a really exciting event. Other than that, of course, there is the war memorial that Prime Minister Modi is going to be visiting in Marseille to, pay tribute to fallen Indian soldiers. Lots on the cards for Wednesday. Keep an eye out for all of that. I'm here to get you all the details. Parati Bhanot for NDTV.
Right, thank you so much, Pariti, for getting us all those details, joining us from France. We also have Zenia Behel, tech expert, joining us. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Well, the US Vice President J.D. Vance has said that too much regulation when it comes to artificial intelligence could kill a transformative industry just as it's taking off. Your thoughts?
See, J.D. Vance represented and communicated the stance of his administration, right? The Trump administration, which has been very clear about deep state, about regulation, especially, when you think about the first day that Trump came to power, he withdrew from WHO, World Health Organization, withdrew from the Paris Accord, late in the day here. And, he's talked immensely and criticized immensely the deep state and regulation. So this is not surprising that the US decided not to sign the Paris Declaration, which has, if you read it in detail, focused a lot on human rights, right? Labor rights, rights of people using AI sustainably, because at the end of the day, AI requires a lot of energy, right? Large language models to power them, to power AI chatbots such as ChatGPT, even DeepSeek, Google Bard, requires a lot of energy. And energy essentially is coming from your renewable or non-renewable sources. And it says that to meet the energy demands that AI will eventually have, you may need, electricity, essentially, that is today consumed by a small country, right? So that may put the developing countries at a disadvantage when it comes to AI. And I think that that declaration wanted to essentially focus on human rights, and especially on sort of developing world, which is why you saw countries such as India and China sign that declaration. But the US has decided to step back because of not wanting to conform to a specific standard. And as JD Vance said, we want to keep it transformative, which essentially implies free of any type of regulation, right? And he also criticized the Digital Services Act, EU's GDPR Act, which has caused small businesses here in the United States, right? Because of heavy compliance needs and needing to invest in compliance for that specific regulation. So, very clearly representative of the current administration stance.
Right, Zenia, of course, we also heard Google CEO Sundar Pichai highlighting the incredible opportunities that artificial intelligence will bring to India. And he's also spoken of how India and the United States can work closely together on India's digital transformation, particularly, of course, he's talking about his own company, Google. How can this, pan out going forward since, the leaders have met, as far as India is concerned? They've co-chaired the AI summit, and there were, global CEOs there, including Sundar Pichai, speaking about how, it's the right time, like Prime Minister Modi has said, to invest in India. And he is also hinting at opportunities for, the United States and India to collaborate.
I think that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has always said that, right? To invest in India, to make in India, and to leverage the talent pool that India has. The youngest population in the world, a highly educated population, right? And of course, the large AI talent pool. Because in most developed countries, and especially in the United States, one of the things that's lacking is AI talent, and talent to be able to create those large language models, create, you know, AI chatbots. There is so much that project management, there's so much that is needed, right, just at the grassroots level for powering those AI projects that I actually sponsor work on, right? So of course, there's that large talent pool in India, and the United States is leveraging those talent pools. Other countries around the world are leveraging it. And of course, Modi wants more investment, and he wants the big tech companies such as Google, such as Facebook, to leverage that talent in India and to continue to invest immensely in India so that it generates employment opportunities in India and also shows the talent pool that India has for AI, right? Because at the end of the day, sustainability skill set, of course, the skill set for Python, large language models, all that statistical analysis is needed for AI, for machine learning, for big data.
Right. Thank you so much, Zania Behel, for joining us with all those details. And let's get to the latest of Prime Minister Modi, who will be visiting Washington, D.C. later today. Of course, he's in France at the moment. He'll be leaving for the United States, and he will be in Washington over the next 2 days. He's expected to propose tariff cuts and increase energy and defense imports during a meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump. The Prime Minister is keen to avert a potential trade war and boost trade ties after Trump threatened reciprocal tariffs on many countries. And to know more on this, we have my colleague, Senior Managing Editor, Nikunj Garg, reporting from Washington, D.C. Nikunj, over to you. Take us through, the Prime Minister and the President share a very warm relationship, especially during the first term of the first U.S. President's term. Now, last week we also, heard that productive phone call that took place. Now, Prime Minister Modi is going to be among the first foreign leaders to be meeting with Trump at the White House during his second term. Take us through the significance of this.
Well, yes, Divya. Welcome to Washington, D.C. A snowed out Washington, D.C. It's been snowing since yesterday afternoon, so to say. And by now it has almost, the city has almost 2 inches of snow. There's a snowstorm warning that is also impending. So if my cameraman can pan, Xavier can show you around how thick the snow currently is in the city, in the capital city of the United States of America. You probably will gauge an idea of the weather at least. What we will not gauge an idea from outside is the temperatures inside the Oval Room, because remember, President Trump has been having very hectic meetings with some of the key U.S. interest partners. Egyptian president, I am told, is next in the line. Jordanians are here. He's meeting the Jordanians. But remember, these are all the countries and the old British and American allies, Egypt, Jordan, where there is a contingency. And so quite clearly, he wishes to work on a contingency plan in the first few days of his presidency, other than the most significant meeting of the two of the biggest and the two of the strongest democracies of the world, that is with Prime Minister Modi. So currently he's meeting his contingent allies, but with Mr. Modi, that is more about strategy, it is more about geopolitics, it's more about the order in the world. So that gives you a sense as to how much importance the current US administration attaches to India, to India's leadership, particularly Prime Minister Modi, whom you correctly said that President Trump enjoyed a very big bonhomie during his first innings, and in Trump too also, India obviously is amongst the first few countries whose apex of the leadership is coming to Washington, D.C. for a one-to-one meeting with the American president. And when it comes to India and United States, there are a whole host of issues that are always on the table. From Indian side, obviously, it is extremely high quality of tech transfer, other than the defense sector, technology transfer, which can change the lives of millions of people in India, overall population of billion plus. Other than that, today, now is the era of the AI. And India is trying to take some early steps, some early lead in that entire technology sector technology has always been India's forte, but AI is something that India would want to take some very initial early leads on. Sam Altman, the poster boy of AI, was in India meeting the top Indian political leadership just last week. And so from the AI to the defense to the technology, India has a lot to discuss with the United States. Now, other than that, of course, people will always remain centerpiece of any relationship. People will always pivot the relationship, particularly when it comes to democracies. The world's strongest, the world's biggest democracy, people will always remain a centerpiece. So India obviously has been raising a whole host of issues about the social security benefit of H-1B visa holders, the allowance of work for their spouses in this country. Remember, currently they're not allowed. India always want that talent pool or that talented population to be integrated completely in terms of work circuit as well in the United States. Their social security benefit when they go back to India has always been a contentious issue. Add to it the current issue of illegal migration, on which many say in this country at least that President Trump got the resounding mandate that he got, and he has taken some very initial early steps in a very forceful manner that have rattled many quarters, including India. And India has been in touch with the United States of America. India has said that while it is completely in agreement and completely willing to take any verified, undocumented, illegal alien or illegal migrant into the United States, it certainly wants an honorable treatment of those illegal migrants as well. There cannot be a dishonorable treatment. People cannot be humiliated while they are sent back to India. So that's a very important, currently a contentious issue. However, I would say that the relationship swath is so large, so big, so important, so crucial, not only for India and United States, but for the whole of humanity, that it should not and it will not remain hostage to just one issue at any given point in time. Howsoever contentious it may have become, but that will remain just an issue, a thorn on the side, but it will certainly not cover the entire gamut of the relationship. Interestingly, Prime Minister comes at a time also when this country, when Washington DC is abuzz with the Trumpian solution for the Middle East. So what can be India's contribution? India has always been a very significant player in the Middle East. It's in our neighborhood as well. India enjoys tremendous goodwill under Prime Minister Modi in the UAE and the entire Gulf region. So what India can do for probably finding an amicable solution there, also many are saying that can also be on the table. Divya?
That's right, Nikunj, from freezing temperatures to warm relationships, a lot coming up. And of course, we have all that covered. Nikunj Garg, our senior editor, is going to be getting us all the ground reports and the key takeaways from crucial meetings that are in store for Prime Minister Modi in Washington. Thank you so much, Nikunj, for joining us. And of course, let's just switch tracks now to Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has said that Gaza's ceasefire will end if Hamas does not return Israeli hostages by midday on Saturday, as has been planned. It comes after Hamas said that it would postpone that plan of the release on a Saturday, accusing Israel of violating the terms of a ceasefire. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned of a return to intense fighting and said his cabinet were in unanimous agreement following a 4-hour meeting. He said they all expressed outrage at the shocking situation of our 3 hostages who were to be released last Saturday. Now that is what now Israel is saying, that ceasefire, that deal would be off if Hamas does not comply with the agreements that were met upon. With that, we're stepping in a short break. Back with a whole lot more. Stay with us.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, We are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
Now we move on to the next category, which is the Youth Icon of the Year. And for this, मैं एक बार फिर से request करूँगी आशा पारेख जी का स्टेज पर आने के लिए, और साथ ही invite करेंगे मयंक अग्रवाल जी को, CEO Gallant Group of Industries, to join us on stage for this next category of awards.
Ananya Pandey.
Congratulations, Ananya. And Ananya Pandey, actor, is getting this award for her advocacy work on combating cyberbullying, growing achievements in the film industry, and strong influence on social media. And that's what makes Ananya Pandey NDTV Youth Icon of the Year 2024. She represents a blend of modern values, relatability, and a commitment to meaningful causes, which are essential qualities for inspiring today's youth.
Congratulations, very many congratulations.
Thank you.
And Ananya, there are just a few questions for
Yes.
you. You've, diverse characters, and you've made a shift from big screen to OTT. Big superstars have done their shift. What is your opinion on that, and what's your next move?
Firstly, I just want to thank NDTV for this award. It's truly very, very humbling, and to get it from Asha Parekh ji, I'm such a big fan of your work, so this is a pinch me moment for sure. I don't believe any screen is too big or small. It's a screen at the end of the day, and the world is developing so fast. There's so many changes that are being made, so I think we're all just keeping up with the times.
Ananya, the fact is that 2024, this year, has been phenomenal for you. One success after another. Kahan Kho Gaye Hum, Call Me Bae, CTRL. How does it feel to have multiple successes in one single year?
It's really a dream come true. I really think this year for me, more than ever, I felt very connected to my fans with Kho Gaye Hum Kahan and Call Me Bae and Control. I've done movies in the past, but this is the first time that I felt true love from the audience. And, all these films and shows have been conversation starters. People have not just come up to me and said that they like my work, but how my work has kind of made them feel seen or represented on screen. And for an actor, I think that's a huge victory for me.
So Asha ji is here on stage, and I sometimes back मैंने आपसे ये पूछा था कि आज के दौर में स्टारडम कैसे हैंडल करना है, तो अनन्या आपके साथ हैं जो स्टारडम को एक अलग तरीके से हैंडल कर रही हैं. कुछ एडवाइस अनन्या के लिए, या अनन्या आपको आशा जी से कुछ पूछना है?
जी, आप प्लीज बताइए, आप मुझे एडवाइस दीजिए प्लीज.
क्या बताऊं?
कुछ भी, आप कुछ भी बताइए, मैं ले लूंगी.
Sincerity, hard work takes you in a long way. That's what I...
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
Welcome back. Let's get you news from the United States. And as U.S. Treasury Secretary who will be traveling to Ukraine this week, Donald Trump has gone on to make that announcement that Vicsit will meet with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, and suggest that the two leaders could discuss pathways to ending the conflict. To know more on this, we have David K. Johnston, Professor of Public Policy, Rochester, joining us. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Of course, President Trump has gone on to say for continued support, they are demanding rare earths from Ukraine exchange. Also, there's interest in Ukrainian oil and gas for continued interest and support. But at the same time, Trump has said that the war in Ukraine must and will end soon. Your thoughts?
Well, Donald has long said that Russia should just do whatever the hell they want to Ukraine. He is very friendly to Russia. He said 7 years ago that he trusts the Russian leader, Vladimir Putin, and not the American intelligence agencies. So it's important to understand he's on Russia's side in many ways. His current proposal, sending the Treasury Secretary there to get contracts so that Americans can have rare earths like neodymium, is classic Donald Trump. In the 37 years I've covered him, it fits his mold perfectly. He sees a financial transaction. Donald is very transactional. He's not there to protect an American friend that is being attacked by a hostile power. He's there to instead see if he can extract some kind of financial gain out of their misery.
Right. Thank you so much, David K. Johnston. We can go on and on about this. I'm afraid we're completely out of time. Thank you so much for watching NDTV World. We'll be back tomorrow morning, same time, same place.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
Joining us today is somebody whose journey in Indian cinema is almost parallel to independent India's journey. Almost 7-8 decades that she has acted, directed, censored Indian cinema. She has been a vital part, a vital cog of India's journey through all these 7-8 decades. Asha Parekh, welcome to NDTV.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Asha ji, you were part of the golden era of Indian cinema, worked with the best filmmakers, iconic actors. How do you look at your own journey?
Well, it's been a very long journey, and I enjoyed being where I was, and the adulation of the fans was really very great, and I enjoyed it.
And more than the enjoyment, you contributed immensely to the growth of Indian cinema through, the years that it was actually growing up.
Yeah, it was a golden era, I would say, and we had lovely music, we had lovely lyrics, very good directors, very good cameramen. Not that we don't have them now, but at that time it was a different thing altogether.
And 1960s and 1970s, there was a lot of larger than life, depiction in cinema. How did you see the transition? I mean, your own journey and the transition of Indian cinema.
Well, the films which I did were happy-go-lucky cinema.
Like
and
you.
Yes, and the transition which has taken place has been good. I think so. We are coming out with more realistic films, and sometimes the films are not good because they don't have a good story, a good script. That's what I feel. In our times, the dialogues were very beautiful. I remember "Main Tulsi Tere Aangan Ki." Dr. Saab had written such fabulous dialogues that I was...
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and good morning. Welcome to Breakfast Show. I'm Radhika Ramaswamy joining you from Mumbai studios. We also have Tanima Biswas joining us from Delhi. Tanima, Prime Minister Modi to visit the US after France. We get you all that can be expected from this crucial visit as NDTV's Nikunj Garg reports from Washington, D.C. Besides, of course, suspense over Delhi Chief Minister and Manipur Chief Minister continuing here.
Right, we're counting down to the big US visit by Prime Minister Modi. Remember, this is his first visit in Trump 2.0 era. India would, of course, like to pick up the thread from where they left as far as Donald Trump as President of the United States is concerned. And as Radhika mentioned, that this is going to be our special focus today on the Breakfast Show. But first, before we get into all those details, let's take a look at the headlines. Prime Minister Modi addresses the 14th India-France CEO Forum, says it's the right time for businesses to invest in India. Google CEO Sundar Pichai also meets Prime Minister Modi in Paris.
Prime Minister Modi to head to US on a crucial two-day tour. A first Modi-Trump meeting in Trump 2.0 era. NDTV reports from Washington, D.C.
Under fire over Bengaluru metro fare hike, Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah points at the centre, says it was the central government panel which decided on fare revision. The fares revised last week met with protests by opposition as well as commuters.
Maharashtra Cyber Cell begin probe in the Ranveer Allahabadia row. Mumbai police record statement of YouTuber Ashish Chanchlani, who featured in the controversial episode.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warns Hamas over hostage release delay, says the ceasefire will end if hostages are not released by Saturday.
And big blow to India, fast bowler Jasprit Bumrah ruled out of ICC Champions Trophy due to lower back injury. Harshit Rana named as his replacement.
Right, Prime Minister Modi, of course, is still in France. In fact, currently he is in Marseille. The mega summit on artificial intelligence, which India co-chaired, took place in Paris, as we know. And there was, of course, a gathering of top world leaders as well as top leaders in the sector of artificial intelligence.
That's right, Tanima. Prime Minister Modi, in fact, while addressing the summit, spoke extensively about how artificial intelligence is playing a crucial role in daily lives of humans. He also spoke about the concern of job losses due to AI and highlighted how this must be tackled. Let's listen in.
Loss of jobs is AI's most feared disruption. But history has shown that work does not disappear due to technology. Its nature changes and new types of jobs are created. Friends, India has successfully built a a digital public infrastructure for over 1.4 billion people at a very low cost. And we have made digital commerce democratic and accessible to all. This vision is the foundation of India's national AI mission. We have one of the world's largest AI talent pools. India is building its own large language model considering our diversity.
We've seen this with Prime Minister Modi. This is the third path. We don't want a system of those who are in power and the rest are vassals. We want to have this serving the entire planet. And I don't believe that the world will be divided between the global north and the global south, just looking at one another, because if we want to have trust in artificial intelligence, we have to make sure there is equitable access to these innovations in all continents. And the example we saw from Prime Minister Modi earlier with the left hand and the right hand, we can see the different models. We want open source models and multiple sorts which reflect our diversity.
And after France, Prime Minister Modi will head to the United States. He will be on a key two-day US visit starting later today and is expected to propose tariff cuts and increase energy and defense imports during a meeting with US President Donald Trump.
That's right, Tanima. In fact, the Prime Minister keen to avert a potential trade war and boost trade ties after President Trump threatened reciprocal tariffs on many countries. We have Nikunj Garg, who is in Washington at the moment. We will go to him as we get on with him. In fact, Indian Prime Minister, of course, Narendra Modi will be heading to Washington today. Of course, this is a crucial visit. It is a two-day visit. Of course, he was in France. He continues to be in France after this important diplomatic visit. Now he is headed to Washington, and it is a two-day visit during which he is expected to discuss matters related to energy, trade, tariffs, and some of these important discussions are going to take place as Prime Minister Modi visits the US, and this is of course his first visit after Trump took over for the second time. Tanima, of course, we're waiting for Nikunj Garg to give us more details, but certainly a significant visit as far as diplomatic ties between India and the US are concerned.
That's right. In fact, Radhika, right now, if you see on our screens, we are playing out the visuals from back in 2020 when then President Donald Trump, from his first term, had come to visit India. He of course got a rousing welcome in Ahmedabad. The event there that you can see the pictures from back in 2020. And even in the pre-departure statement, if you see that the Prime Minister, in fact, the Prime Minister's office gave out ahead of his visit, the Prime Minister had in fact said that he warmly recalled working with Donald Trump earlier, and so that was clearly mentioned in that statement. But also, very importantly, he also went on to say that the agenda of the meeting will be for mutual benefit of both the United States, the people of United States, as well as for the people of India. So, as we know, clearly some things which are going to be on top of the agenda is talks related to trade, tariff, maybe even the H-1B visa issue, something which has been in the headlines recently. And also, very importantly, Radhika, because there's, of course, a lot of optics which will go into play here as well. But one of the things that we have seen happening recently is, of course, the fact that India sent back its illegal, beg your pardon, US sent back illegal Indian migrants to India. That is going to be a thorny issue, which is likely to come up as well.
In fact, we have guests joining us on the show.
Brahma Chalani, strategic affairs expert, as well as Professor Swasti Rao, geopolitics and foreign policy expert. First to you, Mr. Chalani, of course, this is a very crucial visit as far as Prime Minister Modi is concerned. How would you really analyze this visit? How do you assess the impact of the America First doctrine that, Trump speaks about? How will it impact Indo-US relations, particularly in the field of, trade as well as defense? And we're also talking about immigration issues as well, and considering the tariffs that have been imposed. How is this meeting significant as far as India-US relations are concerned?
US-India ties thrived during President Trump's first term, but the US-India relationship began to fray during the Joe Biden presidency. Trump is a great believer in the notion that personal bonds between leaders can positively shape relations between their nations. And he has a good personal rapport with Modi. But in his second term, he appears to be a man in a hurry to build a powerful legacy before his time is up. And his Make America Great Again vision collides with Modi's Make in India initiative. This is the reason why trade has become a hot button issue. The things that you mentioned, for example, trade, tariffs, energy, weapons, these are things that Trump wants. We should also be discussing what India should be seeking, because after all, if this relationship is to be restored, then the US has to address India's concerns, including India's regional concerns.
Professor Swasti Rao, if I can bring you into the discussion as well, as I was mentioning, one of the things which happened just preceding this visit to the US is the manner in which the Indian illegal migrants were sent back to India by the US. That is, of course, a sensitive issue, and we've seen the Indian government sharing some of the concerns with the US authorities as well. How do you see that playing out in this key visit of Prime Minister Modi?
A very good morning to you. Well, I honestly don't think this is going to play out in any significant manner, because from India's perspective, yes, of course, we had concerns about how they were sent back, and there are certain protocols to be followed. And I think that was made very clear from the Indian side. And that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is that you saw how promptly Dr. Jaishankar sort of came out and said that India understands and supports the US line on deporting the illegal immigrants. So I think that is something which we should see how it plays out. I don't think this is going to really impact what Trump has in mind when it comes to India. And I agree with the assessment that apart from what Donald Trump wants from India, he seems to be wanting everything from the rest of the world as well. He has not minced his words about how he is going to keep America's interests first. And I think India's real challenge out there is going to be how to reconcile that with keeping India's interests first. I personally do not see that India will be able to operate under the same kind of strategic autonomy that we would like to. We have already seen on a couple of things where we have fallen in line. A, on the question of illegal immigrants. I think we were very forthcoming in taking them back. B, on also agreeing to buy more hydrocarbons from the US. In the Donald Trump first presidency, we did buy about $7 billion worth of hydrocarbons to try and rectify the trade deficit, because we have about $190 billion worth of trade in goods and services, and it is in our trade surplus, which is about 37 billion of that is in India's trade surplus. And this is what Donald Trump is actually attacking. So we will have to find ways to rectify the trade deficit. It could be about lowering, our own, tariffs when we import from the US. So we are going to be seeing, some part there. But I'm interested in seeing how much of, our own strategic autonomy are we able to stick to, because yes, India does have genuine concerns. India does have other multi-alignments with respect to BRICS and with respect to INSTC, with respect to, these kind of groupings. And I am not sure if Donald Trump is particularly happy with that. So that is a challenge for Prime Minister Modi to navigate, yes.
Right. Also coming to you, Mr. Chelny, considering the personal rapport between PM Modi and President Trump, how might this rapport really influence diplomatic engagements at this point? You know, are there any specific areas where this bond could yield some good benefits? Can their personal dynamics lead to some sort of swift agreements between the two nations?
Both are deal makers, and when you have a personal rapport, it helps to move the relationship forward. We saw that from Trump's first term, how US-India relations flourished. In fact, that was the best period in the US-India relationship. Trump executed a paradigm shift in America's China policy in his first term. He ended a 45-year American policy of aiding China's rise. Instead of aiding China's rise, America classified China as a rival and a threat under Trump's first
Right,
term.
I request both our guests to stay on with us, sir. We have our senior managing editor, Nikunj Garg, who is joining us from Washington, D.C. Good evening to you, Nikunj. You know, among the global leaders, Prime Minister Modi is going to be the first to be meeting Trump. I believe it's snowing there. We can see you. It is freezing cold, I'm guessing. Prime Minister Modi is going to be the first leaders to be meeting Trump after he took over. They have shared a good rapport in the past. So according to you, what are going to be the major issues on agenda? There are many focus areas that you've been pointing out: trade, defense, tariffs, immigration. So certainly this could present opportunities and challenges as far as India is concerned, right?
Well, Radhika, good morning to you. And yes, it's a freezing DC. We have almost 3 inches of snow on the streets by now, and it would be a dysfunctional capital as far as traffic and everything else goes. At least for today, there's a snowstorm warning as well. So President Trump would be gearing up inside the White House, which would be completely snowed from outside. I mean, I can see that Xavier is now trying to pan the camera and trying to show you the real environs of the American capital as the Prime Minister prepares to land here and as the Americans prepare to host him. Now, as far as the significance of this visit is concerned, I was talking to a top-ranking diplomat yesterday, and he said that in his memory, he doesn't recall a situation where so early in an administration, the apex of the political leadership of India has been invited to the United States, and they would be having a summit-level meeting, which means that in the last 3 decades or so, right from the 90s, when this relationship, which was in a moribund state at that point of time, started actually to take turn and become somewhat active. And then 20 years from now, you know, somewhere around the beginning of 2000s, when the relationship actually under Prime Minister Vajpayee tried to turn a new leaf and became somewhat effective relationship, this has never happened. So you can gauge the significance of this visit from a particular historical context, that in the entire gamut of last 30 years of relationship, if we see it as the new era of Indo-US relationship, this kind of a meeting between the Prime Minister and the incumbent president in the first month of the inauguration of the president, 20th he took over, and we are still not at 20th. So you can imagine the significance that the Americans, look, such meetings do not happen at the instance or the invitation of any, or at the behest of someone. These meetings happen at the invitation of the host country, and particularly when the host country happens to be the United States of America. So quite clearly, this is a great indicator of the fact to the significance that the new American administration attaches to the relationship with India. So that being said, once that is the case, I would say that most of the contentious issues, most of the challenges as you put them, can certainly be tided over if the personal chemistry between the leaders is there at the apex level, which was completely at display. Remember, do not forget that President Trump traveled to India during his first term in 2020, went to Ahmedabad, the hometown of the political leadership of India currently, and stayed a good day there, went visiting various monuments, etc., various places, etc. So the kind of relationship they share, the personal bond that they share, there's no doubt in that. And once the significance of the relationship between the two countries is understood, once there is a personal bond that is largely established, I do not see anything being that thorny an issue which cannot be papered over or which cannot be found a solution about. Challenges in a relationship of the magnitude of the biggest democracies of the world like India and the United States will always remain. Remember, you are talking here about close to more than 1.5 billion people exchanging in terms of trade, tariffs, any kind of business contacts, official contacts, people-to-people contacts. It's never going to be easy. That's 1/4 of the humanity nearly. So whether you have the issues of high-tech transfer, now the AI, immigration, illegal migration issue, deportations, there would be, India has obviously also been raising the issue of H-1B visa holders, the right of their spouses to work in United States of America, their social security concerns, and of course, this is one country. Remember, in the world, if there is one country, if there is one nation that can give you the kind of access to technology that can solve the problem that a large swath of our population today suffers from or faces, then this is that country. It can give you that directly. Maybe you will not have that kind of supply of capital coming from Washington, D.C. or the United States to India. But once you have the relationship, once you have the bonhomie, once you have the indication from this capital, the capital inflow into the country also becomes, any country for that matter, becomes much, much easier. So both the capital and the technology that you need as a fast developing country, as an emerging global power, this country can play a very large role. And therefore, those are the issues that the apex of the political leadership would be grappling with. These will not be the issues of minutiae, as some people would say that why would, those 100 deputies were transferred in a manner that they were. Look, that is something that no country, no self-respecting country would allow, or no self-respecting country would live with. But those are only the sidelines of the issue. The issues are of massive importance to both the countries. India's success, India's growth, India's prosperity, India's rise, India taking its rightful position in the International Committee of Nations, India sitting at that high table of nations where it deserves its place, is also equally critical for a democracy like United States of America. Because if India rises, as the Prime Minister also puts it, if India rises, the world peace gets a guarantor. If India rises, India is one country that has never shown aggression towards any of its neighbors. If India rises, a large mass of humanity that has been struggling under subpar conditions comes to fruition and comes to its rightful place in the world. So those are the concerns at the apex of the political leadership level, and I'm quite sure as I said, that the significance that the administration is attaching to this visit, with the kind of personal chemistry and with the kind of mutual intertwined interests of the two countries, that should not be a problem. And as I said, some thorny, some side challenging issues will always remain in such a vast gamut of relationship, but those issues do not have the potential to derail this relationship. In fact, this relationship can only soar higher and higher, as most of the observers across the world are now pointing at. Remember, India is also going to host it is India's turn to host the next Quad meeting, which is now also one of the centerpieces of this relationship and India's relationship with the developed world. India would extend an invitation to President Trump to travel for Quad, and this relationship will then is only marching in that direction where it is going to take its rightful place in the world, not only in the historical context, but in the context of an emerging world, an emerging world order.
Right, Nikunj, you've spent the day, in fact, talking to experts on the ground there and also people from the diaspora. What's the mood in Washington ahead of Prime Minister Modi's arrival, and how's the visit being viewed in US political circles and the media there?
Well, look, US political circles at this point in time is a sharply divided place. It's quite a polarized section, I would say. But if one aspect of the entire political spectrum that unites the political spectrum between the Democrats and the Republicans, it is in United States' relationship with the Indians and with India. So quite clearly, this is a relationship that India, obviously India wants this relationship to move ahead. India wants a prosperous, a more engaging, a more committed, and a more fruitful relationship with the United States of America. However, there is a complete agreement on the Capitol Hill. There is a complete agreement in the Senate. There is a complete agreement in the Congress that this is the most consequential relationship of the emerging world. This is